don't know what it is about San Andreas, and why these PS2 era games feel the need to be creepy. I mean, we all know that San Andreas at times has a creepy atmosphere to it, but why is that? And what do players feel the need to add things that aren't there, like urban legends, myths, and at times creepypastas, and other things that aren't even part of the game? When you drive along the empty roads, or get stranded somewhere, and you have to walk out in the wilderness, a desert, or even a rough neighborhood, you get this feeling of eeriness that makes you feel uneasy. Like your mind wants to interpret things that maybe you fear, and wants you to feel it too within the game's atmosphere. I mean, look at this scene right here with all this fog. It kinda reminds me of this one horror game that we'll talk about later. But first, let's talk about some creepy areas that I found. My name's Soto Sam, and today, we're gonna explore the most creepy areas and things that I found in GTA San Andreas. And if you like my style of content, or want to see more creepy stuff in other games, remember to hit subscribe, or comment what other areas or games you want me to explore. The most creepy areas are obviously found in the countryside, like Flint County, or the wooded areas, like the Back or Beyond, which I'm going to go into detail about in a bit. So let's start off with these places. And what a better place to explore than Catalina's safe house. I never understood why this cabin is so creepy and desolate. I mean, I kinda get why it's in the middle of nowhere. She is an on-the-run fugitive, but why is it so creepy looking? It's very close to the area where Bigfoot is said to have been spotted, but I'm getting a little too ahead of myself. You can find bullet holes on the rusted windows all over the cabin, bloodstains on the porch floor, and old hubcaps and animal skins hanging. Other than that, there's nothing really much around the cabin, besides the buffalo that always spawns here, a rusted Walton, and these 3 graves. 3 graves for the 3 husbands that Catalina said that she has killed, and buried in her house. The next spots are just places that I found that I thought were pretty uncanny. Like these secluded looking cabins. I couldn't find any information on these cabins, but they seem to be rentable for any unwary visitors. These cabins are located in a very strange area. There's literally nothing much here. I guess the people who rent these cabins could hike around here, but it really makes you think why these cabins are so isolated. I mean, put these people in the middle of nowhere, and when they're done hiking, and you just want to go to sleep as soon as they get back to the cabin, then that's when something happens. I don't know what specifically, but you can use your imagination. There's a lot of farms, old houses, and trailer parks around these areas. A lot of them seem abandoned, or at least give off a creepy vibe for some reason. Being in the countryside, you're bound to see a lot of these things. When I was exploring, I found this small property, and of course, it's in the middle of nowhere. I can't imagine living here, or even thinking about the things that happen here, due to the place being so isolated. It could be just an innocent place, where someone just wants to live off the grid, but then again, you never know. It's a relatively small house, with its own windmill, and an extra shed that you can't enter. I wonder why. I wonder what they're hiding in there. Have you seen this trailer park before? I think I have, but I never really gave it any mind. But with the fog enabled, now it's making me think what really goes down here. First of all, I don't think NPCs really spawn over here, so it could be abandoned. You can find some chicken coops here, but there's no sign of any chickens anywhere. They probably died of starvation. As you can expect from it being a trailer park, it's not very well kept. There's a lot of these rundown sheds and decrepit wooden structures that look like they're about to fall apart at any second. When you enter any of the sheds, there seems to be nothing in them. Maybe something devastating happened here, and people had to take what they could and scurry out of this place. A lot of these farms out here also give off a creepy vibe. With this sort of atmosphere, it looks like more sinister things happen here. You can find a lot of odd stuff here, stuff that you will rarely see throughout the rest of the map, and things that will make you wonder why they're even at these places, or what they even are. It makes me wonder what kind of people own these farms, since the countryside in this game has a lot of strange people living in it. They sort of look like a family cult living in these farms, a cult like the Manson family. A cult from the late 1960s and early 70s, led by Charles Manson, and who actually ended up killing a few people. This farm especially, Easter Board Farm. It's not really used in any mission exactly. It's mainly a route used for races and extra stunt jumps. But the farm is pretty big, and ominous given the right setting. Everything besides these huge white barns is closed off, but they don't really have much inside them. It really makes you think why you can't enter these smaller ones, with darkened windows, and what's really hiding in there. I couldn't really find anything on this farm. All I found was this old rusty land cultivator, and this suspicious and creepy looking trailer. Why are they keeping it all the way back here? Or maybe who are they keeping back here? This might be a similar situation like the one in Red Dead Redemption 2. With the trailer being all the way back here, you don't know what kind of squatter can claim it. A creep was possibly stalking, and planning some disturbing things for the people of this farm. Remember how I mentioned cults earlier? One of these farms is actually owned by a cult, a survivalist cult. A group of hillbillies will attack you once you enter the farm. If you remember the mission Body Harvest, then you know what I'm talking about. When you play this mission as a kid, it can be rather scary when you have a bunch of crazy cult member hillbillies trying to kill you. In the mission, you steal a crop harvester, and you can run over these cult members with it, and when you do, it gets pretty gory, and their bloody body parts start shooting out of the harvester. This farm is located in Flint County. It's another typical in-game farm, with its greenhouses, a silo, a creepy shed, a water tower, and a farmhouse. The farmhouse, for some reason, emits a blue glow from the windows at nighttime, which some believe is related to the Epsilon Program. You can also spawn a woman in a tractor who appears on the farm. She can usually spawn at 9 PM, or at 10 PM for some copies of the game. It's an unusual occurrence, and some players even think that the woman could be a cult member, or maybe a person that died here in the farm, and now haunts this place. Before we go on to the next topic, let me show you this place. A place that can be considered objectionably very creepy, especially at night. A cemetery. This is the only one you can find in the countryside. You can find the cemetery at the Drive-Thru Confession Church in Palomino Creek. It's a white church, with a small booth near it, for people to make confessions and receive a sermon. Some players say that it's haunted, because in the back, a big open grave has a strange green glow that comes from inside of it. The grave is partly opened, but some saying that there's grave robbers in the area. There's not a lot of things that you can find over here, except for this shovel, or this Easter egg of a gravestone with the name Scott Wilson, one of the developers from Rockstar. This cemetery is also one of the rare places that you can find a Romero hearse, with maybe a casket inside. I didn't really find a lot of creepy areas in the city. All I found was this huge church, and this long and creepy railroad in San Fierro, but we'll come back and visit these areas in a bit. Shady Industries. I wonder what kind of dealings happen here. The Opposition Memorial. It's another creepy place that you can find in San Fierro. It has all the spooky things, like graves, a gloomy setting, and the reminder of death. I'm going to mention these places in another GTA video that I recommend you watch if you like these types of exploration videos, right after watching this one of course. In Los Santos, the only creepy place I found was this Vinewood Cemetery. Yes, another cemetery, except this one is way bigger. This is where you do the mission Sweet and Kendall, and Los Sepulcros, where gunfights happen that lead to more death in the area. There's a large obelisk in the entrance of the cemetery. At first I thought it was a Lincoln Memorial, so that was weird. There's also a water fountain in the center, and obviously a lot of headstones. There's also a lot of above ground tombs, which to me seems kinda odd. In the back of the cemetery, there's a large mausoleum building that you can enter. Inside, you can find pizza boxes, an armchair, and a TV, and tombs obviously. This may be a reference to the character Spike from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, or maybe something more sinister is happening here. But the most interesting thing that I wanted to show you is on this wall behind this large brick building. As soon as it starts getting dark out, this graffiti spawns, and then disappears when the sun comes up. It's probably a glitch in the game, but some people believe that it might be related to CJ's family, with his mom Beverly and his brother Brian being buried in the same cemetery. Others think that it may be spirits of dead gang members who maybe haunt this place. Also coincidentally, the graffiti font kinda looks like it spells out the number 666, and we all know what that means. Further adding to this place being haunted, or it being supernatural. With all this talk of myths in San Andreas, let's move on to our next topic. San Andreas has a lot of urban legends, some based on the reality of the game, and most of them nowhere near that reality. Let's start off with some lesser known urban legends in the game. For example, Slenderman. Slenderman is said to be located somewhere in the countryside, in places like Whetstone or in shady creeks. If you know the Slenderman creepypasta, then you'll know that he likes to stalk his victims, and he can teleport wherever he wants. He is also impossible to kill, with the large amounts of health that people claim that he has. There are claims of people spotting Slenderman in the game, or through in-game photos, but nothing really substantial. Most of those claims, or footage captured of Slenderman, are just mods for the game. But who even came up with this myth that he shows up in the game? This game came out in 2004, way before the creepypasta, and the game Slender's Woods came out years after that, so that doesn't even make any sense. I mean, I get it. It's fun to imagine just walking around the woods, and Slenderman just following you around while you look for some random pages. But come on, there's no way that Slenderman will actually show up, right? Another creepy man in this game is Mr. Trenchcoat, an NPC who has a lot of strange dialogue. The things that he says is mostly things regarding him hearing voices, implants in his head, and lizard people, like one of those conspiracy theorists, or truth realists depending on which side you're on. He also believes that he's been abducted by aliens, linking him to UFO rumors in the game. Headaches, urges, and amnesia are also things that he claims that he suffers from, showing clear signs of paranoia. Here are some examples of things that he might say.
Amnesia. He drinks shorts the implants. Where's the aluminum foil? I know things. Well, they found me. Headaches, voices, urges. Fight the voices, friend. In my head. It's the voices! Lizard-eyed imposter!
Some people think that he's a serial killer, and has been seen attacking the player or other NPCs, especially in places like Fort Carson. When I interacted with him, he didn't really attack me. He just let me follow him around aimlessly. He is said to live in this house, located in Terra Robata. At night, the porch and the back door are really bright for some reason, which confuses players because there's no reason for there to be light. And next to the house, you can find this white barn, with nothing in it. And a cultivator hidden in some bushes. Manhunters theorize that the owner is purposely trying to hide it, and that the killer uses it as a way to dispose of bodies. A more proven myth in the game is the unaliving photographer. It's not the actual name, but you know how YouTube is about certain words. When you drive, or walk near the coastline of Flint County, you might find a random NPC taking some photographs. If you stop to look at them, after a while, they'll take some quick snapshots, look around for a bit, and then some might kneel, or even change stance and take a couple photos in a row, but then eventually, they'll all end up in the water. Although this may be a pathing glitch, some people believe that it's a ghost of a dead photographer that still haunts this coastline, and possesses people into walking into the water and offing themselves too. Another smaller unknown myth, or actually more of an Easter egg, is this biowaste well. Located behind the inside track in Montgomery, it's a small well enclosed with a metal fence, with a lot of signs clearly showing that there's toxic waste here. Some have linked this well to the bioengineering business in Montgomery, and claim that they're dumping all their waste here in the well, adding to the water pollution conspiracy in the game. The same water source that the Sprunk factory down the road is possibly using. It's most likely an Easter egg digging at Coca-Cola, because in 2002, Coca-Cola was forced to take their bottled water off the shelves in the UK due to the fact that it may have had carcinogenic effects. You can also see a green glow coming from the well at night, further adding to the claim that this well is contaminated. Others think that the well is inspired by the movie The Ring. Some players claim that if CJ comes to this well at midnight, Samara, the girl from The Ring, comes out of the well and kills you. Although it didn't happen to me when I was here, so I suggest that you come here and see for yourself, if you dare. The place where you hear most of the urban legends happening is in the Back of Beyond. It's a very isolated wooded area, with a lot of different terrains, both high and low, rock formations, and a lake with a dark and murky water, which some people deemed the Ghost Lake. The lake is indeed very dirty and nasty looking. It feels like something might grab me and pull me further into the water almost. Next to the lake, you can find this huge slanted tree that you can easily just walk on. You can go all the way to the top and see almost everything from here. You have to be careful though. This tree goes up pretty high. You take one wrong step and you're done. Unless you fall into the water, but I'd rather die than land in there. This place has a very spooky vibe to it. I can see why people might think that maybe there's something out here, especially when you find something like this happening. The ghost cars. One of the first myths that have been proven to be real. You'll find these cars driving in the woods, with no one actually in the driver's seat. The Glendale is usually the car that spawns here, already damaged and dented. But if you try to take it to the paint spray to try to repair it, the damages won't go away. The cars driving themselves is maybe explained because of the car's spawn location. They're programmed to spawn on the side of a steep hill, which may cause them to roll down the hill when they spawn. But then again, maybe it's something else. This doesn't seem like a place for you to stick around for too long. You never know what you'll find out here, or maybe what will find you, like these other urban legends and myths that are said to be out here. While exploring these woods, there's always one urban legend that comes to mind: Bigfoot, the biggest urban legend in this game. Imagine it's the early 2000s, and it's your first playthrough. Then later on in the game, you get dropped off on an unfamiliar countryside. You decide to explore it, until eventually it starts to get dark, and then some dense fog comes out of nowhere. Now you're starting to get scared. Your brain starts imagining things that aren't really there. Then all of a sudden, you start to hear some strange sounds. What could it be? Well, the only logical answer, since you're in the woods, Bigfoot. Due to the fact that during the following weeks of the game's release, a lot of vague videos and screenshots were out there claiming that he was real, and was said to be found around the countryside or the wooded areas. Players have said that you can hear his growls while you explore, and that if found, Bigfoot attacks a player, but in reality, he's not in the game. If he was, he would be in the game files. The sound of growling most likely comes from your hunger bar being depleted, and then Siege's stomach starts to grumble. What most likely happened is that players were probably in the woods searching for Bigfoot and standing idle for a long period of time, just enough time until your hunger bar went down. It would have been interesting if he was in the game though, but sadly, he's not. Jason Voorhees is a lesser talked about myth in this game. There's only one vague reference to him that you could find. In this area of Shady Creeks, there's a cabin evidently named Shady Cabin, with a big lake near it. This is most likely a nod to Camp Crystal Lake from the movie franchise Friday the 13th. It is said that Jason lives here and will chase and kill the player, but I have yet for that to happen to me. The cabin itself is pretty creepy, but it's not furnished at all. The only thing that you could find on this property is a squad bike. At night, there's a strange glow that is lit from somewhere within the cabin, even though there's no light fixture or lamp anywhere in the room. The lake is pretty creepy too, but like the cabin, there's nothing too interesting in here. The area's climate is mostly foggy, cold and rainy, with the weather often acting strange here as well. The lake itself is also pretty shallow, giving you the false confidence that there's nothing in here to get you. Adding to this theory of Jason Voorhees being in the game is his NPC named CWMYHB1, or Country White Male Young Hillbilly, who can be found in the rural areas. Due to his resemblance to Jason when he was a kid, he's often linked to this myth. He's bald, has a deformed face, walks around strangely with a raggedy pair of pants, and a piece of grain in his mouth. There are also rumors that he's responsible for the suicides of pedestrians at Mount Chiliad, which leads us to our next myth. There's another cabin that uses the same model as the one in Shady Creeks, near Mount Chiliad. This cabin is used in the mission Badlands, where CJ has to kill an informant for Tenpenny. I personally think that Leatherface takes refuge here. Why? I don't know. But many players believe that you can oftentimes find him in the Panopticon. I mean, there is a chainsaw pickup that you can find here. You can also find videos online, supposedly documenting strange noises of a chainsaw in the area. Rockstar also hints this, with this quote on their website about the Panopticon. At the very center of the state of San Andreas, Blueberry is a farming community, and home to the Fleischberg Brewery. To the west of a local farm, Blueberry Acres, there's a large hill, known locally as the Panopticon. The Panopticon affords views of both Bone and Flint counties, and Easter Basin Airport, serving San Fierro. We're sure some crime takes place here, only currently, we don't know what. Rockstar Games. The Panopticon itself is rather creepy, with its surrounding forest, odd things that you can find, and empty shacks with strange stains on them. This place seems to be abandoned, with no signs of NPCs ever spawning here. The only sign of people maybe being here is this beat up Glendale that you can find in this shack. You can also find this creepy tree that has been split in half somehow. Some people think that he also lives on the farm that I showed you earlier, mostly because it kinda looks like the house that Leatherface lives in the actual movie. If you go to North Rock, you'll find this cabin, similar to the ones found at the Panopticon. Players believe that Leatherface may be involved with it. The cabin looks abandoned, surrounded by dense trees, and has bloodstains on the floor, with players thinking that it may have something to do with the killer. It may be where he takes his victims and does what Leatherface usually does with them, or maybe a temporary dumping ground, but I haven't found anything so far. Remember that cemetery in Palomino Creek that I showed you earlier? If you drive further south, you'll end up in Palomino Creek Beach. On this beach is a creepy little shack that for some reason emits a red glow at night. No one knows why this happens, but some players believe that demonic activity happens here. Remember the pollution I was talking about earlier as well? You can find these barrels of suspected wastelanding on the shore, adding to the water pollution theory. See, I'm not crazy. Anyways, back to Leatherface. Other evidence that he's in the game is his rusty wheelchair that you can find on this dock, which could be a reference to the one from the movie. He may have dumped the body here in this game's universe, and then just disappeared, waiting until it's time to kill again. But even if it isn't that, why did the devs decide to place a random wheelchair here? And what importance does it have? Someone could have seen what happened if that was the case. There are houses up there with a clear view. Maybe there's something in the water that we can find ourselves. Or maybe have the same fate like the last victim. When talking about the creepy atmosphere of San Andreas, what other game can fit that similar feel, other than Manhunt? Being developed by the same developer Rockstar, I really think that Manhunt influences the same vibe. Also because I think San Andreas shares some of the same game masses from Manhunt. Especially in this place. The Angel Pine Junkyard is one of those areas that I think uses some of the same models from Manhunt. Or maybe Vice City actually, I could be wrong. A lot of these models look familiar from that game. When you first enter the junkyard, this conveyor is usually the first thing you'll notice. A similar conveyor like this was used in Manhunt for the mission Fueled by Hate. It looks a little different, but I think they just remodeled this lately. I also think they did that for this hangar that you can find here, which also looks similar to the ones on the missions Fueled by Hate and White Trash. These models right here also give me a Manhunt-esque sort of feel. It's almost like you're supposed to activate these switches to progress further into the level. Everything around this junkyard seems to be twice its size for some reason. It makes you feel really small when you stand next to these objects. In the back of the scrapyard, you can really see the size difference with this abandoned trailer. It's huge, and I don't think any regularly sized vehicle could move it around. I really wish I could enter it. I want to see what kind of sick things are hiding inside. You know what, actually, this trailer actually looks similar to the one in Manhunt, especially with its size. So maybe inside, it probably has the same interior. Some players claim to have also spotted Piggsy here, which is also a smaller myth in this game, further adding to the spooky feel of it. You can't actually find Piggsy. When you go to Zero's RC store, you can find them as an action figure, along with James Earl Cash. I didn't really find a lot of areas, but when you see the ones I did find that remind me of Manhunt, I think you'll agree with me. Most of these places are in or around San Fierro, with them giving more of an industrial or Rust Belt City aesthetic, which is exactly Manhunt's type of setting, being set in Carcer City, an abandoned Rust Belt city. And what better example than this area that you can find in Doherty? This fits exactly the look that I'm talking about. A depressing, ugly, industrial type of area, perfect for a Manhunt level, and right in the middle of San Fierro too. I mean, this area has more of a ghostly peacefulness to it, compared to the levels of Manhunt, but still. There's a lot of rusted old things here, meaning this place is most likely abandoned. It seems like no one is occupying any of these buildings. The only parked car that you can find here is this Bullet, but I don't think it's owned by anyone. Look at this place. What happened here? Why is this boarded up? Maybe it's the reason why this place is so abandoned. It doesn't even feel like you're in San Fierro anymore. Everything around here is the complete opposite of the rest of the city. Remember the mission Yay Kaboom Boom? We destroyed the crack factory in Doherty to end the local syndicate? This factory and its surroundings really feel like a Manhunt level. Maybe not right now, when the factory is destroyed, but if you go into an old safe and check it out, you can really see it as an indoor Manhunt level. I can just imagine some hunters from Manhunt patrolling the factory, just waiting to get you, with you using the walls and objects as an advantage to get to them first. This seems like a difficult scene though, since there's not a lot of shadows to hide in. The big entrance of the factory, I can see it as being the exit of the level, while Cerberus is just waiting for you at the end. The only other spot I found was the Fleischberg Brewery. It's a bit of a reach, but this area reminds me of the beginning of the scene Graveyard Shift for some reason, or maybe a cut mission that would have taken place in a factory, with docks for big loading trucks. I mean, it could work. Just open more of the docks here, add some more cover that's actually useful, and bring some sickos who want to kill you. When this game gets foggy, and boy does it get foggy, it reminds me of Silent Hill at times, especially Silent Hill 2, because they're both PS2 games. I own the game, but I haven't played it yet, though I've seen enough gameplay to compare it to this game. The town of Blueberry is an area that reminds me of Silent Hill, especially when you're walking around and have NPCs turned off. It really feels like you're exploring around Silent Hill, avoiding monsters and looking for your daughter Cheryl, or in this case, your brother Sweet. The only thing that will make it feel more like Silent Hill is if you could enter more buildings to explore, but sadly, you can't do that. The only building that you could enter here is this liquor shop from the Mission local liquor store, but also sadly, there's nothing really here, not even any health or weapon pickup. I also found this place, the Red County Truck Terminal, a place truckers could use to park and refuel their trucks. You can enter it, but then again, there's nothing really in here. This seems like a place that would be on Silent Hill when you need to find an item for a puzzle or something, and then Silent Hill monsters start to spawn in. and start chasing you until you exit. There's also a strange blue glow that emanates from inside the building. Or actually, all around Blueberry. Kind of ironic, isn't it? Nobody knows why, but people think that it has something to do with the Epsilon Program, yet again. You can also buy a safe house in this small town, and right next door is this scene. What happened here? The game never really explains it. I really wish Rockstar would let you in, maybe add some sort of Easter egg to give you a glimpse of what really happened. Some people claim that a demon or some sort of demonic activity happens here. The only reason being is that you can find a demonic face on the floor near the apartment. I tried to see if I could see something from the other side of the apartment, but I couldn't find anything. There's a lot of these places that give off that Silent Hill vibe, and a lot of those places seem to be in San Fierro, from what I found. Like this church that I'm going to talk about in a future video, but since we're already here, let's talk about it for a bit. With this sort of atmosphere, this church looks a lot more grim and eerie, like the church from Silent Hill 1. There's not much information about this church, and you can't enter it either. Actually, now that I think about it, you can't enter any church in the game. Maybe that's a good thing though. You never know what could happen. But do you want to see the spot that really reminds me of Silent Hill? This area. Bayside. This is kind of a strange area, due to the fact that it's not really used in the game. This town didn't even exist in the beta version of the game, and was added late in the game's development. What really caught me about this area is the route leading here. This road really reminded me of the Silent Hill 1 intro, when Harry was driving along with his daughter Cheryl, and then enters the spooky town of Silent Hill. There's really nothing in this town, especially when you have low traffic on, making it even more empty. The only thing to really do here is the boat school, but barely anyone did that. It's really unfortunate, because this is one of the nicer areas in the game, and it would have been nice to have more shops around here, or buildings that you can actually enter to make you feel more lively. Another interesting thing that you can find in Bayside is this trailer park, which is one of the better looking trailer parks actually. Also didn't find much here, except for this creepy wooded area that's right next to it, which is always a good addition to add to a spooky place. Walking around the residential areas, it really reminds me of the neighborhood that you explore in the first Silent Hill game, but the same sort of layout of houses that they both have, like from something out of the show Twin Peaks. Okay, not really, but the same spooky vibes are there, especially when you go through the alleyways or enter the backyard of some houses. A lot of these houses are really nice. A safe house here would have been a nice addition, but we can't always get what we want, can we? But the most interesting thing here, adding to the Silent Hill-esque aesthetic, is the Bayside Church, or as others have deemed it, the Church of Satan. Players believe that the building may be used by Satanists. The reason being is that during the day, the church is really dark for some reason, but at night the church will become really bright, almost looking like a landmark, making it obvious for players that occult rituals take place in the church at night. But it's not just that, the church also has stained glass windows with what looks like an angel with black wings, said to be a depiction of a fallen angel. The desert is another hotspot for spooky areas and myths in this game, and the last spot that we're going to explore today. I mean, there are some really strange things that you can find out here. For example, a mass grave filled with body bags. You can find this in the desert, in northern Bone County. Next to the grave is a Bobcat pickup truck that was probably used to move and dump these bodies. But why leave it out here? And who does it belong to? Some people believe that this is the doing of Mr. Trenchcoat, who I mentioned earlier, because he is thought to live in a small house near here that I also mentioned. Players believe that this is where he dumps the bodies of his victims. Another theory of who might have done this is the radio host from K-Rose, Mary Beth Mabel. She has said before on her broadcast that she has 6 husbands and that they are now 6 feet under, to which there are 6 body bags.
I also love a rainy night. Great for disposing of things and nobody seeing anything. Everything washed away, including my conscience and all the evidence.
An area that I wanted to show you, and that you've probably seen before, is this abandoned town. Known as Las Brujas, it's a small ghost town in Bone County. The name Las Brujas is Spanish for the witches, which ironically is near El Castillo del Diablo, which in English is translated to the Devil's Castle. If that isn't a warning of this place, then I don't know what is. This place is mostly just old western houses and businesses, a church, and a small cemetery. And for some odd reason, frequent plane crashes. But what really sells this place as a creepy area is a purple night sky that only happens here in the desert. Although a little unrealistic, it gives the perfect spooky atmosphere. But it's not just that. This place is a hotspot for many myths as well. One of them being the Ghost Town figure, a strange black figure that walks around the cemetery in Las Brujas at night. There are some claims that it's the ghost of Jimmy Hernandez, who Timpani killed during the mission High Noon, but there's not enough evidence to support this. Others believe that it's an older lady, because of the figure's slow walking animation. Further evidence supporting this is the police dispatch saying this. Another myth that's been spotted here is the Mothman. The Mothman is a real-life legend, a large creature with wings who was spotted several times in the 1960s in Virginia. Players claim it to be a human-like creature with large bird or insect-like wings, glowing red eyes, and flies high over the landscape, like the real-life legend. There's not a lot of evidence proving that he exists, besides some pictures or mods for the game. The only thing that some players think is a reference to the Mothman are these two statues found at Sherman Dam. Some players have claimed that if you get too close to the statue, odd occurrences happen, like random planes crashing. In the mission Stowaway, some players have claimed to have spotted a black creature flying through the air when they're parachuting out of the plane. I tried to see for myself if I could spot the same creature, but I didn't see anything. But with all these clouds up here, it's certainly plausible, and maybe I just missed it. The mine found in Bone County is said to be the Mothman's home by some players, mostly because of the location that it's at, mostly because of its location being so isolated, and how really high the mine is. And when I say this place is isolated, it's isolated. And our last and biggest myth for this video, aliens. Aliens are referenced many times in San Andreas, to the point where they're not really a myth in the game. The alien claims all come from the desert parts of the map, where you can find many pieces of evidence that may prove that they exist in the game. One of these places is the Big Ear, a big radio telescope found in Bone County. It's known for picking up a strange radio station when the player gets near it, though I couldn't find any evidence of that claim. It's claimed that that radio transmission comes from UFOs, picked up from the Big Ear. The Big Ear is also inspired by the real-life structure of the SETI project from the Ohio State University, which was used to search for extraterrestrial radio transmissions. It's a really random structure to have in this game, which really makes it stand out, and with all the conspiracies regarding aliens, how could it not? Other than that, there's nothing much else here to find. Just a Sand King, a rare off-road vehicle, and some thermal goggles. The Little Probe Inn is a bar that is located in a very remote area, also in Bone County, south of Area 69, which we'll talk about in a bit. The name Little Probe Inn is very similar to Little Probing, a reference for the probing used on people who were supposedly abducted by aliens. The bar is UFO themed, with a big sign and a spinning UFO in the front that you really can't miss. Inside the bar, you can find many pictures of UFOs and UFO sightings all over the walls, and in the back room, you can find this, a beta map with pinned UFO sightings all across San Andreas. This bar, obviously being UFO themed, has been one of the reasons for the many myths involving aliens and UFOs, and I think that it's hiding more secrets than it lets on. When you look at the night sky here in the desert, you can at times spot these strange moving lights. These lights that we see here are believed to be UFOs due to how fast they can be seen traveling. They fly at really high altitudes at any time of day, but most noticeable at night. They've been seen to be in 3 different colors, either white, yellow, or red, and leave a long vapor trail behind them, and they have also been mentioned on the radio.
I'm Leanne Forget, WCTR News. Here's what you should think matters. Breaking news. Strange lights spotted over the desert. Here's an eyewitness report.
I seen some strange lights over the desert. Yep, sure did.
Currently, we have no more information. In other news, residents are upset at... All right. Inhabitants of Bone County reported further inexplicable lights over the desert.
Yeah, sure did.
Government officials blame the water supply. And more positive news.
There are a lot of missions in this game that may involve aliens in an indirect way, like the mission Stowaway, where government agents arrive in trucks and a huge cargo plane, a plane that CJ has to board, and also blow up. But these agents that you meet have been said to actually be the Men in Black, mostly because of their black suits, their glasses, and their dialogue.
Endothermic trails, traces of copper-based blood.
The containment vessel! My envirosuit! Punctured! Kiflam's trousers.
This doesn't concern you. You don't know what you're messing with.
Humans. Yeesh, idiotic mammal, carbon-based buffoon. You evolved from shrews.
The mentioning of aliens and UFOs implies that they are extraterrestrials working for the government, and could mean that they are shape-shifting aliens, like the popular conspiracy theory. But the Mission Black Project is the one mission that really stands out. In the mission, you enter a bunker inside Area 69 to retrieve the Black Project. Area 69 obviously being a nod to Area 51, where it's theorized that the government does secret research on aliens and alien technology, and may have alien bodies in this facility. While you're fighting your way through the facility, this announcement can be heard by a woman on the intercom.
Could the owner of the alien culture in the diagnostics lab's fridge kindly remove it? Personnel found stealing alien technology will not be invited on the next staff night out.
But it's not just that. The facility itself is filled with many things concerning aliens. A small thing being is the green lighting in the bunker that gives off a very alien mothership look. Inside the control room, you can find a huge raised map of San Andreas. There is also red and white lights, hitting specific areas of the map, hinting at possible alien activity. When I first entered the bunker, I found this huge empty space behind this barrier. I wonder what was in there, because it goes pretty deep. Maybe this is where they keep the UFOs, or big alien technology. You can also find autopsy rooms behind what looks like reinforced glass. Players have theorized that this is where they do research on alien bodies, and where they possibly extracted that green goo from. Green goo that you have to steal from the mission Green Goo. In these labs, you can also find this crowbar, an Easter egg from the Half-Life games, which also has to do with aliens. The last proof of aliens to end this video comes from NPCs who constantly have dialogue referencing them. These NPCs mention abduction, refer to aliens as them, or mention things that make players believe that they're aliens themselves.
The Martians! The Martians! He's an alien. He's an alien! I was flying to Mars last week. We're controlled by the radios. Everything is just triangles. Waves and triangles, man. The aliens will eat you first. I know you. I saw you in a dream. The Martians will eat you. I hope they eat you. Aliens are here. The Martians from Ugg have landed.
They all appear oblivious. Such a fragile ecosystem. Heterogeneous civilization. They lack all sense of the truth. They put faith in myths. We must take care of Mother Earth. Is this mating? Am I initiating incorrectly? I dislike your weather. Your weather disturbs me. By the fronds of Great Gork, red fluid is bad, right? I cannot touch this fluid. Organic malfunction. Not a good start. I cannot afford to fail. My mission is one of subtlety. That is a weapon. Primitive projectile weapon. Back to the ship. Mission abort.
And of course, our friend Mr. Trenchcoat also has references to aliens.
Green-blooded abomination for Earth, man! You're not probing me again, alien scum! Abducted again! Get off my anus! Well, he's one of them! They're up there watching. Saw one the shape of a dog once. And then I woke up 6 months later. Well, they can't drink alcohol. Well, they're watching us. They know. You know they know. Can't let them take me again. Well, they're all around us. Oh, sure. Or they look human. He's one of them! You ever seen a visitor? The aliens are coming!
Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. I really enjoyed making this Halloween special. I'm thinking about making more spooky content from time to time, so let me know what you think about that. Also, sorry for the lack of videos. I got really busy, and I didn't really have a lot of time to edit or record videos. I didn't know how long this video was going to take me, and oh man did it take long. But I do have a few videos ready, so get ready for those, and I will get back to my shitty schedule. So with that said, remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Oh, and happy Halloween, even if it's not Halloween. I don't know when I'm going to post this video. It might be a late upload, but still. Anyways, see you guys on the next video. Peace. I love you. Happy Halloween!